The movie begins in the future at a nuclear plant that's about to have a big problem. Two worried scientists are stuck in a room where they run things, and they need to stop a dangerous situation. But they're not sure which of two buttons to push, one is yellow, and the other is blue. As they get more and more stressed, a strange guy named Fox suddenly appears in the hallway. He tells them to push the yellow button. They're confused and don't really believe him. Fox says he's a time traveler to prove his point. He does something amazing by bringing a person from China into the room, but he accidentally takes the person back in time. When he comes back, he says he talked to the person who designed the plant, and they need to push the yellow button. Before the scientists can decide, sometimes police called the Time Brigade show up. The Time Police are very sure that Fox is a bad person, and they tell the scientists to push the blue button because they trust the Time Police. So, the scientists press the blue button, thinking it's the right thing to do. For a short moment, the alarms stop, and they feel a bit better. But their happiness doesn't last because the nuclear plant explodes, causing a lot of damage. After that, the story moves to the present day, and we meet Gilbert, who is proudly showing off his new nuclear plant project to a crowd of people. Someone in the crowd challenges him, and it turns out to be Alice, Gilbert's own daughter. She questions why they're using old technology for the plant and talks about how it could affect the community negatively. Alice and her friends create a disturbance, so security and the police take them to a nearby police station. At the station, Gilbert shows up, and Alice's friends are surprised to realize that he's her father. In the car ride afterward, there's a lot of tension as they argue about the safety and ethics of Gilbert's nuclear plants. Things take a turn when Gilbert says something hurtful about Alice's late mother. She's had enough, and she demands the car to stop. She gets out and walks away, leaving a heavy silence behind. After the earlier events, Alice receives a call from her friend who's still at the police station. The friend pushes Alice to steal important files from her father Gilbert's computer. To make matters worse, her friend blackmails her, saying they'll expose a video proving she's Gilbert's daughter if she doesn't comply. In the quiet of his home, Gilbert watches old videos of his late wife, lost in memories. Meanwhile, Alice seizes the opportunity to slip into the house to get the files. However, her plan takes an unexpected turn when she encounters Fox. Startled and panicked, Alice hits him with a wine bottle, knocking him unconscious. Just then, her father appears, finding Fox on the ground and realizing Alice's intentions. He threatens to call the police, but their confrontation is interrupted by the sudden arrival of the Time Brigade. They storm into the house. Fox regains consciousness and warns that the entire world is in danger if Gilbert's nuclear plant becomes operational. A chaotic fight erupts, with the Time Brigade starting to shoot and Gilbert gets injured. Amid the confusion, Fox, Alice, and Gilbert suddenly find themselves in a sad future after the disaster. The place they're in is really scary, and it's so shocking that Alice actually faints. In a surprising change, the story shifts to where the Time Brigade works. The leader, Constance, is really angry because their mission went wrong. She picks Luis to lead the team instead of Mateo. Constance makes it clear that if Fox changes the future, it could break the way time and space work. Elsewhere, Alice wakes up in a room she doesn't know. She meets Ralph, who is part of a group trying to save the future. Ralph tells her how much the world has changed, and it's pretty extreme. Alice really wants to go back, but Ralph says they need to talk to his team in their lab first. They get there, and Fox gives them a choice to go back if they want. But when Gilbert opens the door, he gets a really scary surprise: zombies. He's really scared and closes the door quickly. The group learns from Dr. Henry, the leader of the future's resistance, that radiation from the nuclear plant turned people into these monsters. They put the blame on Gilbert because he built the plant in a cheap way, and that caused the problem. Gilbert is really confused by what he's seeing, so they show him a huge store that moves all around the world. Anyone who touches it ends up dying. This scares Gilbert a lot, and just as he's starting to understand, Fox takes out a gun and wants to hurt Gilbert. Alice is really upset and cries, asking for her father's safety. She promises they can find another solution. All of this is too overwhelming for Gilbert, and he faints because he's under so much stress. While this is happening, Ralph comes up with an idea. Instead of killing Gilbert, they could try to change his mind so he won't build the plant in the future. Everyone agrees to this plan. Meanwhile, the Time Brigade arrives in this future too. They're looking for the group of people, and to get information, they end up hurting someone. Inside a van, Alice and the group are discussing what to do next. They want to find a way to make Gilbert change his decision. Alice is feeling really lost, and she mentions that her mom, who died when Alice was born, was the only one who could really connect with her father and wanting a break from everything. The group goes to a strange bar where Gilbert and Alice try to talk to people. However, everyone seems a bit peculiar in their own way. While listening to stories from the bar's patrons, Gilbert starts feeling different. The strange tales somehow take away the kindness he had inside him. He decides he wants the Time Brigade to find him and take him back to his own time so he can finish his project. An argument starts between Gilbert and Alice. Alice gets upset because Gilbert doesn't want to change. In her frustration, she shouts to the whole bar that they will face danger from a big storm, and it's because of her father, Gilbert. But Gilbert cleverly buys drinks for everyone, making them feel better. They laugh and chat, and eventually, they leave the bar. Sadly, Ralph and Fox are left behind with the bill. Meanwhile, at the gang's secret location, the Time Brigade arrives and puts bombs on the doors to get inside. However, Henry, the leader of the resistance, acts fast. He sets a bomb that will blow up the whole place and escapes through the back door. Fire chases him as he runs, and though it's really close, Henry manages to escape the danger of the flames. The Time Brigade is quick, evading the fire, and they begin to search the gang's hideout. Outside, Gilbert and Alice are in serious trouble as zombies spot them and start chasing them. They run as fast as they can, but the zombies close in on them. Just when things look dire, Fox and Ralph come to their rescue. Fox tries to use his time machine to transport them all to a safer time, but there's a problem. The machine's battery is running low. Suddenly, a new person arrives on the scene, Weasel, who is a friend of Fox. She's not alone, she brings many of her kids along, all ready to fight. The kids spring into action, pushing back and driving away the zombies. Weasel guides everyone to her home, where a young nurse attends to Gilbert's wounds. Meanwhile, back at the destroyed hideout, the Time Brigade discovers a map that they hope might lead them to the gang's location. In Weasel's home, it's dinner time. The gang sits down with the kids, and everyone has a good time. The food is a bit unusual, made from rats. Suddenly, the atmosphere changes. Henry appears almost magically at the dinner table with some troubling news. The Time Brigade is getting closer. But before anyone can react, the brigade bursts into the scene, interrupting everything. The next events took everyone by surprise. The kids, who were trained and ready, bravely began fighting against the Time Brigade. However, chaos broke out when the Time Brigade threw a bomb at the kids and Henry. In a courageous move, Henry jumped in front of the bomb to protect everyone, but he lost his life in the process. Amidst the turmoil, Fox, driven by anger, aimed his gun at Gilbert, blaming him for all the trouble. Gilbert just stood there, looking sad and resigned to whatever was coming next. But before Fox could take any action, the Time Brigade acted swiftly. They quickly subdued Fox and Ralph, and they also disarmed the kids. In no time, the group found themselves inside a massive building, where Constance was in charge. She was very eager to question them. Alice didn't hesitate. She spoke directly to Constance, arguing that the Time Brigade opposed their mission because they were afraid of how changing events might affect their own future. However, Constance had a surprise strategy up her sleeve. Constance introduces an older version of Alice, who has a conversation with her younger self. The older Alice paints a picture of a challenging future, filled with unsatisfying jobs. She also reveals that their dad, Gilbert, has been struggling. After losing their mother, he turned to alcohol for comfort. The older Alice emphasizes to her younger self how precious every moment with their father is. Following this heartfelt talk, both Gilbert and young Alice are sent back to their own time. The very next day, just as Gilbert is about to give his endorsement for the construction of the nuclear plant, Fox and Ralph face dire circumstances in the future. Constance doesn't go easy on them. They end up sentenced to a mysterious prison where time seems to stand still. On his way to an important meeting, Gilbert's chauffeur engages him in conversation, praising Alice's bravery in standing up to her own father. This sentiment deeply affects Gilbert and makes him rethink his decisions. Instead of going to the meeting, he takes a different path. He decides to go back home to talk to Alice, and their emotional conversation and hug create a problem at the Time Brigade's base. Constance, who is usually strict, tells her team to make sure Gilbert goes to the meeting and agrees to the nuclear power plant deal. She understands how serious it is and needs to be tough. She promotes Victor, an experienced officer, to lead this mission and make sure their goals are achieved. She gives Victor permission to use a strong tactic. He will make Gilbert agree by keeping his beloved daughter, Alice, hostage. Somewhere else, at Weasel's place, something surprising happens. Henry, who they thought was lost in time, comes back as a robot and works perfectly. However, there's another problem. A big storm cloud is approaching, which could mean trouble. As the story goes on, the Time Brigade gets moving. They come to Gilbert's house, capture him, and pressure him to say yes to the nuclear plant. Victor, who wants to stay in control, warns Alice seriously, suggesting that she could get hurt if she steps in. Back at the imposing headquarters of the Time Brigade, internal conflicts start to rise. Luis begins to question Constance's motives. Sensing Luis's wavering loyalty, Constance orders her to move Fox and Ralph to a more secure area. Richard is assigned to help with this, but the place they're taken to turns out to be a chaotic and ominous center. In a surprising turn of events, instead of imprisoning Fox and Ralph, Luis betrays Richard by pushing him into a dark void. But she doesn't stop there. She releases Fox and Ralph and even gives back their special time travel device. However, things quickly go wrong. Ralph's attempt to ambush Victor using the device backfires, and Fox ends up crashing onto Gilbert's vehicle in a separate accident, getting injured. Within the Time Brigade's headquarters, tensions run high. The atmosphere becomes charged as Louise enters Constance's office. Their words heat up, leading to a physical fight. Despite Constance's formidable fighting skills, Louise stands her ground. This unexpected turn of events adds more twist to the story. She gets out a gun and shoots Louise. Meanwhile, Fox captures a member of the Time Brigade. He boldly takes the brigade member back to an ancient war time. But things quickly go wrong when Fox's special time travel device doesn't work as it should. Fox and the brigade member end up stranded in the midst of a battle, forced to fight. Suddenly, their fight is interrupted by a huge warplane appearing overhead. The warplane drops bombs, causing chaos at Gilbert's place. In the midst of all this, Ralph is in a dangerous situation. He's trying his best to escape from Victor's constant shooting. Ralph tries to use his time machine to get away, but it doesn't work properly. Instead, he finds himself in stranger and stranger places, one of which is a swimming pool. As he surfaces for air, he discovers Victor waiting for him. They struggle with each other. At that moment, Alice steps in at just the right time. She throws a bottle that hits Victor, making him pass out. But the story doesn't end there. The drama continues to unfold. Fox has been captured, and Constance arrives with a specific mission: to make sure Gilbert signs the documents for the nuclear plant deal. At Weasel's place, a destructive storm approaches, getting closer with each passing minute. Henry, determined to help, starts working on a new time machine for Weasel and the children. Unfortunately, despite his best efforts, the machine malfunctions. Back in Gilbert's place, he feels the weight of his decision pressing down on him. With a pen in hand, he hesitates. But in an incredibly courageous moment, Alice takes action. She time travels, determined to save her mom. This has immense consequences, as time itself starts to unravel. Objects and people begin to disappear slowly. Amidst this chaos, Fox seizes the opportunity to approach Constance, telling her that she will lose all memories of these events once everything is over. As time settles, it reveals a changed reality. Alice never existed in this new timeline. Instead, Gilbert has 2 daughters, and his previously deceased wife is alive. Weasel, the children, and a robotic Henry have found safety. A touching scene unfolds as Fox, Ralph, Henry, and their now alive allies gather for drinks, celebrating their triumphs and new friendships. Alice's unwavering spirit becomes a vital part of the team. The movie ends on an uplifting note, showing a hopeful future where the menacing storm has been defeated, symbolizing better times ahead. Thank you for watching our recap. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and feel free to explore our other recaps.